Let's begin the story. The deserted island. Deserted here, empty of people. After his ship is destroyed in a storm, Robinson Crusoe finds himself alone on an unknown island. Exhausted, he climbs a tree to stay safe from wild animals and falls asleep. Exhausted here, very tired. When I woke up, it was broad day. The weather was clear and the storm had died down, so that the sea did not rage and swell as before. The ship had been driven up to a rock within a mile from the shore where I was. I decided to go on board so that I might save some necessary things for my use. I pulled off my coat and shirt, for the weather was extremely hot, and swam to the ship. All the ship's provisions were dry and untouched by the water. Being very hungry, I filled my pockets with biscuits and ate them as I looked for other things. Provisions here, food supplies. I built a raft with some large pieces of wood, some boards, and rope. I considered what I wanted the most. Then I got 3 large boxes and lowered them down upon the raft. I filled them with bread, rice, cheese, and corn. While I was doing this, I saw my coat, shirt, and waistcoat, which I had left on shore upon the sand, swim away. This made me start looking for clothes in the ship. I also needed tools to work with on shore. I found out the carpenter's box and got it down to my raft. Raft here, floating structure made by tying flat pieces of wood together. When I had managed to carry back everything that I had collected, I found a suitable spot and left my raft and all my cargo safe there. Cargo here, goods carried on a ship. Answer these questions given on page 16. To rage is to behave very angrily or violently. To swell is to become larger. Close your eyes and imagine a sea raging and swelling. What would the waves look like? What kind of sound would the water make? You are right. The waves would look high and fast and powerful. The water would make a loud, roaring sound. It seems as it is angry. Robinson Crusoe was left alone on an unknown island after the destruction of his ship in a storm. So he climbed up the tree to stay safe from wild animals, and soon he fell asleep. Here the narrator says, when he woke up, it was daytime. The weather was clear and the sea was calm. The ship had dashed against a rock about a mile from where he was stranded. He planned to bring the provisions to the shore to survive until he gets some help. Soon he built a raft to carry all his necessary things to the shore from the ship. He took 3 large boxes and filled them with foodstuff, clothes, and tools that he needed to work with on shore. He tied them to the raft and sailed to the shore. He successfully brought back his things from the ship. Here it shows that Crusoe was an action-oriented hero because he swam to the ship, built a raft, and piled it with food, clothes, and all necessary tools. Let's proceed to next paragraph. My next work was to view the country around me. Country here, the surrounding area. There was a hill nearby. After I had got to the top of the hill, I saw that I was on an island. I found also that the island was deserted. I came back to my raft and started bringing my cargo on shore. It took up the rest of the day. At night, I was afraid to lie down on the ground. What if some wild beast attacked me? I barricaded myself round with the boxes and boards that I had brought on shore and made a kind of a hut. Barricaded here, put up a temporary wall. I knew that the next storm that blew would break the ship to pieces. So I decided to set all other work aside till I got every useful thing out of the ship. I brought away different kinds of tools, all the men's clothes that I could find, and some bed sheets and covers. I found a lot of bread, a box of sugar, and a barrel of fine flour, 2 or 3 razors, 1 pair of large scissors, some knives and forks, and some money. Here, let me ask some questions. Why did the narrator look around the land? Yes, he wanted to know where he was, how safe he was, and how he could be rescued from there. What did he find out about his surroundings? Right, he discovered that he was on a deserted island. It means uninhabited place that is empty of people. How did the narrator deal with the situation? Let me tell you. He brought all his necessary things from the ship in order to survive on this unknown island. He knew another storm could wreck his ship, so he saved all his belongings to use them when he needed. He brought them to the safe place on the shore. He was busy in unloading his cargo from the raft to the shore the rest of the day. At night, he was frightened to lie down on the ground because he knew that he would be attacked by wild animals. In order to protect himself from wild attacks, he barricaded himself with the boxes that he had brought from the ship. This part portrays that the narrator was an adventurous hero. Let's begin the next paragraph. My thoughts then turned to making a proper place to live. First, I needed a place where there would be fresh water. Then, I needed shelter from the heat of the sun and security from wild creatures. I also wanted a view of the sea in case a ship sailed into sight. Finally, I found a little plain on the side of a hill. Plain here, stretch of flat land. The slope of the hill above this spot was very steep, so that no animal could come down from the top. Steep here, rising sharply. On one side was a hollow place like the entrance of a cave, but there was not really any cave or way into the rock at all. I decided to set up my tent in front of this hollow place. The hill sheltered me from the heat. I made a fence so tall and strong that no man or animal could climb over it. Instead of a door, I made a ladder to climb in and out of my new home. Inside this fence, I carried all my provisions. After bringing back his cargo on shore, his next task was to find a proper place to live. He had to survive somehow until he could leave the island. So he had started looking for a suitable place to make his home. The most important thing that he needed was a place where he would get fresh water for drinking and cooking. The other necessities that he needed were shelter from the sun, safety from animals, and a view of the sea to watch out the passing ships that could save him. Finally, he found a suitable place and built his shelter at the foot of the hill that could protect him from wild animals. He also raised a tall fence around his shelter and used ladder instead of a door to enter and exit. Here, Robinson Crusoe showed his courage and commitment to make the best of his situation and not be a victim of his circumstances. Here we have interesting questions on page 18. Out of bread, flour, and money, which would be the most useful to Crusoe right now? What would be the least useful? Of course, bread would be the most useful to Crusoe right then, while money would be the least useful. Because what would he buy with that money on that deserted island? Let's proceed to the last paragraph. After I had been on the island about 10 or 12 days, I set up a large post on the shore. On it, I cut these words with my knife. I came on shore here on the 30th of September 1659. Upon the sides of this post, I cut every day a mark with my knife. Every seventh mark was twice as long as the others, and every first day of the month was even longer. Thus, I kept my calendar. After providing himself with basic necessities such as water, food, shelter from the sun, and safety from animals, Crusoe set up a large post on the shore to mark his arrival date, that is 30th September 1659. He also kept count of the days on the post because he wanted to see how long he was able to survive on his resourcefulness, that is, food supplies. Here the question is, what role has the storm played in the story? It's a natural disaster that has brought the narrator to this unexpected situation. The theme of the story is, we can get over our fears only if we face them with courage. When you face difficult times, know that challenges are not sent to destroy you. They are sent to promote, increase, and strengthen you. With this, we come to an end of this lesson. Hope you must have enjoyed this adventurous story. Thank you and have a nice day.